Welcome to The Master Plan, a property podcast. I'm Rebecca Shackleton from Polka Dot Property.
And I'm Nikita Jenkin from Scouted Recruitment.
Nikita and I have come together to do this podcast with a goal of unpicking the complexities and the nuances of the property industry. We want to do that by interviewing guests who will offer insights on the industry and their career journeys.
We're really excited to have you on this journey with us, and we're going to have a lot of fun along the way.
PropTech and marketing strategist Amber Keogh has played a key role in launching award-winning PropTech innovations on both the commercial and residential sides of real estate. Currently leading early-stage PropTech startup Release Me, which promotes fairness and convenience in off-the-plan real estate, Amber believes PropTech is key to the future of more desirable and sustainable housing outcomes, along with better collaboration between property, PropTech, industry bodies and government. Morning, Nikita. Morning, Amber. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Nikita and Rebecca, for having me. Glad to be here.
So let's just get straight into it. Amber, can you explain to everybody listening what Release Me does and what the platform has been designed to solve?
Absolutely. So look, the platform was designed for buyers to have a fair, convenient and engage in a digital off-the-plan for release. But at the same time for sellers, so property developers and project marketers, it really streamlines and automates that release workflow. So from the time the release goes live to contract signing, everything is digital, everything is automated. So it really drives those efficiencies and performance outcomes as well.
And it really, became apparent that there needed to be a solution after there was multiple releases of new land estates and campouts for days and days, which was, at the time a really energizing and exciting, release. But the reality of that customer experience is that it's a pretty poor one.
Yes.
So I think, I was certainly in the industry when that was all happening. And then, and I think that's probably why there was the need in the market.
What was the process? So you're saying people are camping out. So for example, this is off the plan. So when a developer has product, has property, has land lots, what would have been the situation? And then where does Release Me come in to change that situation?
There was often a lot more demand than there was supply. So there were certain lots that families really wanted to secure. And the only way that they could do that, because we used to release prior to Release Me being an option in market, we would release on a first and first serve basis. So you would think that someone would go, fantastic, I'll get there at 6 a.m.
Oh, so
and then they were getting there
tickets
at 6 p.m. the night before.
Okay,
and then it just got to the stage where there were people sleeping out in their cars for multiple nights. For land.
I did not know
And we justified it at the time because we kind of went, people will camp overnight to buy sneakers. So, this is one of the biggest investments that they'll ever make. But then it just became the norm. And
does that still happen?
Not in the current market.
Okay.
And I think Amber's going to kind of touch on that with Release Me and how you guys have pivoted to a market that had really high demand, and now it's a bit of a softer market. But it was exciting for people at the time. But then I think when it just continued to happen
there has to be a better solution.
There has to be a better solution.
So what is the solution that Release Me offers? Like, how does the mechanism of the platform, how does it solve that issue?
Well, first in, first serve was the traditional way of releasing, and fixed time as well. So buyers had to get there a certain time. You'd be first in line or next in. And buyers were really challenged by that because they were it wasn't just their first release they would go to. Month in, month out, they're going to line up, missing out on these properties. And it's really quite unfair because most releases are held on the weekend. And people who are purchasing these properties, they may be weekend workers, they may be carers. 1 in 5 Australians has a disability. Travelling to site, they may be coming from long distances. Perhaps they've got families, they've got obligations, and it disadvantages many of those people. So what we did is we brought the digital solution to market. Buyers can participate via release anywhere they are. Property developers simply create the release in 10 minutes. They send a URL to their buyer. So rather coming to the office, being first in, first serve, what it is, and it's not fixed time either. So buyers can participate from their device. They pop in their property preferences against the lots that are available. And the platform uses an algorithm that actually fairly and equitably allocates the property. So there's no first in, best dress requirement.
But is it first in to click on the URL?
No, it's not that either. So it's not fixed time. Let's say a release goes live at 9 a.m. and they may cut off those buyer applications at 12 p.m. It doesn't matter, Nikita, if you were before me, no matter what time we get those preferences in, the algorithm allocates the stock at a certain time. So at 12 p.m, allocations cut off. Nikita, you and I might have the same first preference. It will randomly allocate between us. And so on and so forth. So in times of high demand, we had releases through our platform where there may be 50 properties going to market. There were 900 participants on the platform, over 2,000 buyer preferences. So it really is fair and equitable for the buyers.
Is it more like a lottery then?
Certainly not a lottery, because buyers can put in multiple preferences. So let's say when you line up at the release at the office, you might have one preference in mind. It goes, and then you're at the sales office and you have to make a really quick decision on, well, do I want what's available or not? And then we're going to miss out potentially anyway. This gives buyers the time to actually think about their preferences and pop them in. They can pop in up to 10 preferences. So pop them in order. If they miss out on their first preference, they might get their second preference in a second allocation round, or third and fourth and so on. So buyers actually are making a more informed decision about what they want, and they're treated fairly at the same time.
I guess that, just wrapping my head around it, the old way would have been, yes, the first person there, the early bird gets the worm. But in this situation, it is a fairer and, as you say, more equitable situation for everybody involved. I guess that's the difference.
It brings the experience for the customers is really better. So rather than taking time every Saturday to go line up at what is a sales office in a paddock for most instances, we've had buyers that participate in release and purchase property while they're out playing cricket, they're shopping, they're on holiday, they're visiting family, they're having brunch. And they do it through a click of a button on their phone. So it is a better experience for the buyers. At the same time, that drives efficiencies for the sellers as well. We've heard reports of up to 70% reduction in sales closure time alone. That's just one of the benefits. Additionally, the seller gets all of those buyer preferences that they wouldn't get in a traditional release. And so those buyer preferences, one, helps them understand what's popular. And it's often not what they expect will be. So it allows them to adjust pricing, bring product to the market sooner that really meets customer demand. So there goes their profit potential up. Additionally, it reduces that time and cost of sale as well, because a traditional release isn't just a lineup. Oftentimes they put on entertainment. There's facilities, there's food. There's costs there upwards of
it's
40,
a whole
50,000.
experience. And I think
I've never been to one of those.
Well, the other way that we used to do it is a ballot. So an old school lotto,
that's
balls
a lottery,
in a barrel. And then if your number came up, you could come and pick which lot you wanted. And as Amber said, you could just see people's teeny tiny little hearts breaking because somebody before them has put a sticker on the lot that they really wanted. So, so there was no perfect way to do it. And I think as developers, we always thought, creating that theatre and the buzz and all of those kind of things, and it could be a really good thing. But I think to digitise it and to be able to confidently communicate that it was a fair process is a much better experience for the customers and the project in the long run. And I guess with all of that in mind, what are property developers thinking now, and are they adopting new tech? And, do you think that they need to be looking a bit closer at their processes, because there's some that are probably ahead of the curve in terms of the way that they're adopting tech, and there's certainly some that aren't.
We're in an industry where DocuSign is revolutionary. That's what's seen as revolutionary in technology. So I certainly think property developers are really not paying enough attention to when it comes to technology. And I think what I'm not seeing is a focus on building competitive advantage through technology. A lot of people are just digitizing old ways of doing things or their current ways of doing things, but they have an opportunity to build new competitive advantage by adopting technology and adopting new ways of working. So, look, when I think about business transformation or the transformation of processes, what I would do if they're not focused on it, and where they could start, is just taking a step back, actually documenting their business process map, their project life cycle, their customer journey, and then looking at tech that can interplay and provide multiplicative benefits along the way. Release Me as an example. That provides a great customer experience. That ticks ESG boxes at the same time as
How
commercial.
How does it tick ESG boxes?
So as far as the environmental side of things, you no longer, if you didn't need to, you no longer need to potentially erect a sales office, print out all that sales material, have buyers traveling to and from site. So those are some of those benefits. Additionally, because you get those deep buyer preferences, you understand what product to bring to market sooner, and you don't get that lagging stock. So you're providing product to market where the market really wants it. From a social perspective, I mean, look, first in, first serve releases have the opportunity to elicit subconscious or unconscious bias in that property allocation process. At the same time, you're disadvantaging those people who can't come to site on the day, which, like I said, is quite a number of Australians when you think about people who do have weekend work, who are carers, who've got young families. So from that perspective, that's how we fit into that ESG piece. And it's a very simple and low-cost way of getting a little bit of that social license in that sales process, which is difficult to do. Most people think of ESG in purely the development side, or the land side.
Environmental and sustainability and all of that, but it's so much more than that.
You can tick boxes with ESG at every stage of the project life cycle, and that's where that lens, that holistic lens of looking at your processes and looking at your customer journey and then seeing what tech can interplay.
And how have you seen the sales experience shift with tech, and in particular the way that a sales professional would interact with a customer, if that ability for them to sell and to do that initial experience piece with the customer shifts to a tech space?
Yeah.
How's that evolved the sales process?
But realistically, buyers are researching, comparing and selecting their desired properties online more and more. You know, a lot of developers have adopted things like interactive mapping, visual sales experiences on their website. So for the most part, buyers have sometimes made that decision already before they're even considering joining the release or coming into a sales office. So I do think what it does, it just enables more of a seamless customer experience and allows the salespeople and also the property developers to put their resourcing back into what it matters. Think later down the line with community experiences or the development itself.
Does Release Me, though, in a way, potentially remove the requirement for the face-to-face communication, which a lot of people, when they are buying property, and Beck, you say, you know, the biggest asset or the biggest purchase someone will make in their career, just devil's advocate here, does it remove that personal approach, and therefore may some developers be concerned that if they were to use Release Me instead of physical salespeople and physical display officers, that element of experience is removed?
There's certainly a combination effort. What Release Me does for developers is it streamlines and automates some of those really resource-heavy and antiquated processes during the release. So by the time the release goes live, all the way to a contract signing, Release Me just takes care of the nitty-gritty, contract preparation, deposit collection, particulars of sale, those sorts of things, and then really gives the sellers the time to put back into their customers.
So Release Me is a tool that a salesperson can use, but it doesn't necessarily eliminate their – because I would assume that sales teams or even sales managers may be a little concerned that they're going to be redundant if the developer goes with a tech service like this. But you're saying you still use it, so you don't remove the human element.
Absolutely. Look, a sales agent's license is always needed to sell real estate, so they're never going to be fully removed from the process, but it just reduces that time and cost to close the sale. Like I said, up to 70% reduction in the sales closure time. So it gives them more focus to actually move on to the next customers, sell to those people, think about their marketing a bit more strategically as well, and put their resourcing actually where it matters, not in the nitty-gritty of the sales process necessarily, but more into attracting buyers, reselling to other members of their family, those sorts of things. But I will say for small and medium developers, what Release Me does, particularly as we move through market cycles, it enables them to manage their spend and their resourcing according to that life cycle. So certainly there may be it's a less resource intensive process using Release Me, which means they may not need to hire up for the next project, or perhaps those resourcing is just put into future sales rather than the nitty gritty of the release process.
And that's a really interesting segue because I wanted to talk about the different market cycles. And when Release Me was brought to market, we were in a very different market to what we are now with very high demand. So how has Release Me evolved or pivoted to support developers in a softer market?
Absolutely. We were really fortunate when we came to market, it was high demand, which, like I said, for some of our clients, property developers, they had releases of 20 to 50 lots and had upwards of 500 interested buyers participating.
Days, my friends.
As we've moved into a softer market cycle, the benefits of Release Me still are there for the property developer. It may not be managing that demand, but it's expanding their reach because anyone can participate no matter where they are. So they're more likely to participate. They pop in more preferences. They can utilize the data from that high demand with those buyer preferences, better map out their project pipeline, bring stock to the market sooner that people want. So there's those two things.
So it's more insight driven about the customer product needs.
Absolutely. But as we were discussing just now, Release Me enables them to scale down on their resourcing if needed. So when they do host a release, it costs less for them. So from an operational perspective, the performance benefits are there. Additionally, when we launched in market, obviously it was high demand market. As we moved quickly into a slower demand market, that enabled us to bring our product development lifecycle to market sooner. So what we had in the waiting to go live was this buy now option, which is a passive e-commerce sales tool, and it effectively allows buyers to purchase online at any time. Buyers, like I said, have gotten used to this researching, comparing and selecting property online. This enables them to purchase property online, and it's passive sales generation. Low cost, enables the project website to be more transparent, enables buyers to make that purchase decision if they're already there, which has been really valuable for some of our clients, particularly as they scale back and down over Christmas. Purchasers often do make decisions around that time. And I was probably surprised that we had someone buy, one of our clients had property which sold on Christmas Eve last year, passively through their project website.
Oh my God, imagine Christmas morning, I bought you a house, or I bought you a parcel of land. Merry Christmas.
I want to know if you can still cool off in the festive period.
Under the influence of wine, is that a contract?
I've definitely bought things online that I've gone, I probably didn't need that. I've never done that with a property though.
So who uses Release Me? Is it predominantly land developers with land off the plan land stock? Is it built form developers as well? Who is the user of Release Me?
Yeah, so our primary target and our current client base is largely made up of those master plan community developers, those land lot developers, but our platform is also geared for townhouses and apartment stock too. So it really covers those three levels of assets. And I know there's some really interesting new types of built form products coming to market, and we may be entering in those sorts of markets as well.
And does that include transactions that are overseas? Are they able to, and how do you make sure that that's fair for local buyers as well, so that a project doesn't get sold or snapped up completely by FIRB?
Yeah, so look,
hang on, one of those moments.
Foreign investors.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
The release process is open to all buyers, but fundamentally what the platform does, it enables the sellers to go out to their customer list. So the release URL is highly secure, and it only goes out to the customers that the seller or the property developer sends that link to. So they have their CRM.
So it's not available publicly.
That's good though, because they can then, it's like if you're invested in a developer or you've had the time and you've gone along with the process with the salesperson, you can be confident that that hasn't been wasted and someone else who's never met anyone at that, is going to come in and swoop.
Absolutely. It gives the developers a lot of control as well, because in these first investor dress release, previously I know from anecdotal experience from some of our clients, they would be swamped from buyers, their cousins, their cousins' friends, purely to snap up all the properties on one street, say. Yeah. So the process is, the release is only available to those buyers that the seller has
stipulated.
Yeah. And so whilst it's fair and equitable and it is convenient and online, it's highly secure as well.
Yeah.
Who are your competitors? Do you have any competitors?
We have no direct competitors at the moment that I'm aware of. So, yeah, we are first in market, a unique product, and proud to be so.
Do you think that's something that it may be on the horizon? Do you think, people will hear about this and someone may have investment and, kind of want to capture the market or come in and do it differently? Because that is a risk of being the first person in market, is that there's copycats and there's other people who will take your platform, potentially the idea of it, and run with it and do something else. Is that a thought?
That's in the back of anyone who's working in a startup's mind is, and at the very beginning, you're always conscious of what you put out into market. But there may always be copycats, but we have some of the best product developers in the world working on Release Me. So we're confident that if there were competitors, that our product would outshine them. And that's why we always, we have a long product development pipeline that we bring to the market continuously, new features, new functions to be best in breed. At the same time, I think a lot of PropTechs in Australia look for partnerships. So potentially some of those people that may have an idea to be a competitor are actually going to be better off being a partner and work in tandem to bring more value to the clients who may be the same people we're servicing.
And how have you seen PropTech evolve since you started with Release Me? Have you seen much evolution outside of the software that you provide in terms of the entire industry and
it's
technology?
A very broad umbrella, isn't it? Like PropTech, like anything can be PropTech. And I assume I'm not a PropTech expert, but you can probably comment on this better. But there's like probably segments of PropTech. Like one would be software, one would probably be, I don't know.
Sales environment.
Yeah.
Digitization, I think, has been a big one.
It's certainly a growing sector. And the way that I've seen it evolve is recently more PropTechs coming to market in the residential sector. It used to be very commercial sector heavy, asset management, asset optimization, which is sort of the background that I had. And now it's moved into a lot more players in the residential sector. I will say one of the trends I'm noticing, and I think it's a good thing, is more partnerships among existing PropTechs. A lot of people do solve one small problem. We solve a one problem in the value chain, but there may be people in maybe the contracts and settlement side of PropTech who may be good to partner with.
So DocuSign's a good example of, fairly innovative process which has been digitalized, and it's unbelievable that we used to have stacks of contracts sitting to be checked and physically signed. It's so much easier to be able to go through that experience through DocuSign. So I guess that's what you're saying. It's one element in the entire kind of customer journey. Are there any others that you're seeing?
One trend that I'm seeing, and it's not necessarily PropTech, but a tech trend, when I first started in Release Me, and indeed just PropTech in general, I noticed a lot more companies, and I've seen this in property developers as well, they try to develop in-house for their problems. And one thing I'm noticing, 2 years, 18 months down the track within Release Me is that those solutions are unable to keep up with their needs. And a lot of the time, if you're developing in-house, you don't put the same amount of resources towards it. You don't have the customer support team. You don't have a full-time product developer there to make sure that your platform is stable, keeps up with what you're needing, and can be innovative and iterative as well. So I've noticed maybe a shift away from that and looking out to market to adopt technology rather than developing in-house.
When you say developing in-house, what you mean is a property a PropTech platform or app or solution or software that solves a back-end problem for a developer, not necessarily provides a solution to a customer.
What I mean by developing in-house is property developers or project marketers or any traditional property industry company or stakeholder developing solutions in their own business.
So as part of their CRM, probably as an example. So they're implementing a whole new customer management system and then going, we can just solve this. So let's just solve our release methodology while we're building out this huge CRM. Yeah. And that's a huge job to do anyway, to build and implement a effective CRM. And I think what Amber's saying is that they're trying to add on the back of that, and it's probably not as effective as using off-the-shelf products.
Yeah, so looking to the market for technology rather than, like I said before, solving old problems by trying to create a digital solution in-house. So actually doing the product development in-house. And a lot of people, let's say during COVID, did think about that, and they use their standard IT teams and developers and no disregard to them. But they're also there busy solving internal problems rather than iterating on their product that they've created to solve their problems. So
are there any PropTech businesses that you look at and you are impressed by what they're doing? Any brands, any people you think are doing it fantastically besides ReleaseMe?
Absolutely. There are so many PropTechs in market that I'm so excited about. One being Archistar are really dominant in the market, and they solve a lot of problems for property developers and adjacent. Certainly when it comes to feasibility of projects, what should we be developing and where environmental impact.
I went to the Urban Developer Summit this year, I can't remember, and Archistar did a presentation, and I am not an architect, and I was really impressed at what they were doing, and I was like, this is probably some of the most amazing technology, I've seen. Why wouldn't you add this to your deck of skills? So that I was impressed by them.
Absolutely. There are so many impressive technologies. And I suppose from the PropTech sector side, one of the more frustrating things when we think about housing, development outcomes, affordability, and all the challenges that we're facing today in the housing market and the development life cycle is that there is a lack of integration, partnership between property, PropTech, government, and industry bodies. And so a lot of value is left on the table from all players. So we're seeing some of these issues come to the market, and even the rental crisis or housing availability, which we're going to see big problems with. The speed to get property developments to market, get housing to market at affordable prices that are ESG friendly. These are some of the solutions that PropTech have the answer for.
Well, there's a huge gap there, isn't there, in the housing affordability crisis for someone to come in and provide some sort of solution that connects all these bodies together, because it is a crisis. I mean, that's where technology is meant to come in and serve to help us move forward and get through these issues. So that's like a huge opportunity for some tech billionaire to jump in and sort that out.
Even the data and insights that all these PropTechs derive from the solutions they bring to market could really assist both government and developers in bringing projects to market that people don't only need, but they really want,
Would a solution to that being, your team and other PropTech companies lobbying industry bodies to make sure that you've got a seat at the table, that you can talk about these solutions and actually talk with whole of industry about it?
Co-collaboration between industry bodies would be fantastic, both the major property industry bodies, as well as the co-collaboration between those bodies, PropTech providers, property stakeholders, and government. And we've seen recently what happens when governments make unilateral decisions.
Yes.
In spite of these agreements, it can be at a detriment to both the consumer at the end of the day and also the industry itself. So I would love to see some convergence of these industry bodies, these stakeholders come together and really work on solutions, put that data and those insights out there on the table, and deliver housing and outcomes that Australians need and want.
Going back to you as a professional and your career journey to date, there might be some people listening to this who are in a traditional property role who think, I would actually love to break into the PropTech space. And I find that really intriguing and interesting, but they're not sure of the pathway to get there. Can you talk a little bit about how people can, pivot their career paths if they are really interested in this as a different category?
Absolutely. I think every company needs a tech champion. So if your company doesn't have that tech champion and you have an interest, get researched, find out what you're passionate about, look at your own company's processes, project lifecycle, customer journey. And then, if you're not in the position to have a seat at the C-suite table, write that memo, try and create change within your own organization. And like I said, look at high impact, low cost tech or solutions, and that gets rungs on the board. It gets buy-in a lot quicker as well when you see that high impact return on investment very quickly. So I'd say look at the company that you work in initially and see what can you do there, and then if it's something you enjoy, then maybe move out broader into the market.
So maybe reach out to people like you or to other people working for PropTechs and ask for a coffee and have a chat about different ways.
Jump on a podcast.
Go to a podcast, chat to a recruiter.
Exactly.
Chat to Scouted for sure. But yeah, if you are in those sorts of industries and you're interested in PropTech, interested in moving into that market, absolutely.
Because you can in property, and Nikita, I'm sure you can speak to this, but you do get pigeonholed quite often into the role that you're in. If you're
absolutely.
A property marketer or if you're a development manager, it's difficult to then go, actually, no, I want to, I want to get into a different space.
I'm guilty of it, of telling people, candidates themselves, unfortunately, someone may want to transition, whether it be from, say, marketing into development or from sales into development. And I am sometimes the bearer of a bit of reality that transition is really tough and that may not be possible for you because, unfortunately, an employer will look at you for your skill set and assume that, that's the best value they can get out of you is from your current skill set, not sort of you may have a tech background and on the weekend you may be fully immersed in tech, but if you don't have the qualifications or the experience employed in that role, it's very unlikely someone will take a chance on you.
So it's finding those moments and doing special projects.
So if you can add to your wheelhouse in some sort of recognizable form, whether it be a course or volunteer experience, or I don't know if people do that really these days, but if you can just legitimize your interests in some capacity, you'll have a much easier chance of transitioning and pivoting to something else.
Yeah, absolutely. In my previous role, I carved out that for myself because I was interested in the technology. I didn't have product development background, but I was
like
there.
Putting your hand up and being like, I'll show me how to do this.
Absolutely. Or here's a problem. I think this is a solution. Can we get the right people around us to develop it, bring it to market, and then just taking that lead and building out your skill set alongside that. I had some great people to work with and learn from, but certainly I went out and did my own learning and study as well alongside that, just to bulk up what the skills that I needed.
You took that chance, like you brought that chance to you. You didn't wait. Like a lot of people, I think, wait and sometimes, will think, well, the chances aren't coming to me, therefore, woe is me, like I'm never going to do it. You have to go and make those chances happen. You have to go out there and get, the recognition, talk to the right people. You have to pick up the phone and make those phone calls and ask for those coffees and ask for those opportunities. Otherwise, they won't come to you.
And just speaking to those right people, can I pick your brain on this? This is something that I'm interested in. They might have something that they want your advice on, because as a marketer, I think we do have a really fantastic skill set when it comes to looking at go-to-market strategies, which is really fundamental for PropTechs and technologies, new product development. That's so fundamental, a really key piece of the pie. So, and I also think when you look about working in your own organization, if you're doing good things in your organization already, chances are your C-suite will be receptive to your ideas.
And I guess I'm really interested in broadly, what's the next thing that you think will disrupt the industry?
One of our clients in particular, Yourland, recently had their premiere release for a new project called Society 1056. And that project ticks so many sustainability goals. They're embedded into the types of products and housing that the customer will have, so they don't have to make those decisions themselves, such as solar panels, gas-free. It's a gas-free community, as well as some of the civil elements of the community, roads, planting, landscaping, all of that. So that's really inspiring to see developers taking an ESG lead, and I see that being a big focus. I think ESG has sort of sat in the background for a little while. It's been bubbling away, and it's almost been like I used to work.
This is the year of ESG.
I think so. I used to work in compliance, and we called it the begrudging payment of property, which it is. And of any business, compliance is a begrudging payment, right?
Yeah.
And I think ESG for a while was thought of that way, but now people are really seeing that it will drive value creation. The consumer wants it. Investors want it. Lenders want to see your ESG commitments. And at the end of the day, you have an opportunity to make your mark on the master plan landscape by adopting these things early on. Ultimately, 4 or 5 years' time, this is all going to be embedded in compliance anyway. You'll need to tick those ESG goals.
A huge opportunity for tech and ESG to combine at this point in time, because that's not really a thing at the moment. But to me, that's the next frontier.
Talking about Arkansas, there are a lot of tech products that really can help property developers with their ESG goals. A lot of property developers hire, and in a lot of cases, lenders will look for it as well. They have a sustainability consultant for their developments, which is absolutely paramount. Not a lot of developers have a tech consultant or a tech advisor to actually take a look back at that project lifecycle. What are the technologies that we can integrate and implement along the life cycle to deliver both on ESG goals, but commercial goals? And they don't need to be mutually exclusive. A lot of the times, they actually are benefits of the tech that you get together.
Well, that's a really good point, potentially having a technology consultant, because, this is kind of, if I can bring it back down to something that's relevant to me, I don't really understand how to use TikTok. Okay. So I wait for the reels to come on Instagram. But my assumption is that within property, there would be a lot of people at a C-suite level, managing director, business owners who are probably wary or just not confident in their knowledge or understanding of all the up and coming tech. I mean, there's that many apps out there, that many different things, that it can kind of be overwhelming, a technology consultant. Or are there any other suggestions or comments that you think could put people's mind at ease when it comes to, okay, I have this business, I have to involve tech at some point. Where do I go from here?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think a lot of the pitfalls of tech adoption for traditional industry is that people often look at the way they do things currently, and they just digitize what they're already doing rather than taking that step back and mapping out everything that they're doing, actually having a strategy behind it, and selecting and adopting technology that provides multiplicative benefits across their business, client-facing, and project as well. So I think that's a first step. 1, actually map out what you're doing currently, and 2 is just speak to people. I provide advice to a number of developers who will just come to me and ask about tech generally. It doesn't need to be release me.
It's not necessarily like which app. Like it's like what first, and that's I think what people may be apprehensive about, and just not do it and figure it out later. But it's taking that first step, but being able to get some help and some knowledge,
of course,
on that.
To make sure everything integrates seamlessly, because you want your CRM to talk to your digital map and then talk to your release methodology, and then close the loop back to your CRM. So
and maybe this is something though I can get into in the recruitment space, is technology advisors for developers.
Because there's a new market for you.
All right, okay, I'm gonna start doing that tomorrow.
Absolutely, and oftentimes traditional businesses will hire a CTO. Again, those types of roles are fantastic. What they're doing, though, is also looking at internal, there's a large, all your internal stakeholders, which are your staff, you might have 100 staff. Everything, all of their problems wind back up to that CTO. So they're really not looking at best in breed in market, and they're not aware of that full market landscape. So tech advisors, even the PropTech Association of Australia, our member body is huge. It is fantastic. And people who sit on the board of that are also advisors. So I'd say if you are in industry and you are thinking about what a tech strategy could be, how you can be best in breed. And this is where it becomes a competitive advantage, like I was talking about. You don't need to adopt technology just to iterate on what you're already doing. Actually thinking about how can I gain competitive advantage by the technology that I adopt, and then going out and selecting or talking to people about what that could be. So certainly tech advisors, but also our industry bodies and people who just work in the space as well are always happy and willing to talk, because we're champions of each other.
Do you have the Release Me? Is it an app?
It's not an app, it's a web app. So rather than actually having to download an app, because we all have enough apps on our phone, it's a web app. It allows it to be more secure as well, which is really important in property transactions.
I was going to say, take us through using it, but I guess you have to sign up to a developer and be part of their list to get the URL to use the app. Okay, I'm understanding now. I can't just go play around.
I think people will go and jump on to your website after hearing this, though.
Yeah, if anyone actually wants to have a look at the product, we have demos online, but just book a demo. I'll be there. I'll say hi. It takes 15 minutes, half an hour. And
we might put a link or something in our post where people can reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear from them.
So, Amber, the property industry and also the technology IT space, both are quite heavily male-dominated in terms of business owners, employees, leaders, all those sorts of things. As a female in both of those spaces and in those spaces combined, do you see any challenges? Do you have any comments for other females looking to move into PropTech? What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's a really great opportunity for women in property, in tech in general. I think we have a really great creative brains and we're really solution driven. So when you think about customers or clients and creating and solving those, the problems that exist, I think women are paramount to doing that. I think as being a woman in those environments, it's just key to keep going one and above. You're never going to always break down the biases that exist. And sometimes you walk into a workplace and you don't know that they're there. And it can happen subconsciously over time. You may not be invited in on this meeting or this project and all those sorts of things.
Or every meeting you attend, it's you and 10 other men.
Precisely. So you kind of have to make yourself a seat at that table. Like I said, when I first started out in my career, I was really adamant about looking at the business, looking at the problems that were there and slipping memos to the CEO or the C-suite or my manager at the time, trying to solve those problems, really giving myself a voice in the business, creating that role and that place for me in the business as well. So I think as an individual, it's really hard to overcome some of maybe the biases and the structures that currently exist in business. And so you really have to do your best to create a seat at the table. At the same time, I think the skill sets in creativity, agility and customer understanding are really fantastic skill sets in these industries. And I think the needle is being pushed, definitely. There's been change in the time that I've been in my
definitely
career.
Shifting, but I do think that's really good advice. And I think as women, we sometimes tend to underplay our skill sets and our experience. So having the confidence to...
I don't. I'm the opposite.
A lot of women do. A lot of women don't want to be in a boardroom and, have the loudest voice. And I think, that is shifting a lot, but just building the confidence to be able to know that you deserve a seat at the table is a really a key point of advice. Definitely agree.
And hopefully listening to people like you. So if there are young girls in there who have an interest in tech and maybe they don't, have a lot of podcasts or have a lot of people that they can look up to, maybe you can be that inspiration for other girls as well, which I think is great.
I don't want to downplay things. We just said not to downplay things. Potentially, I think look at the value already bringing to the organization. Where else can you bring those values? And additionally, sometimes you just have to ask for things. I always ask. The worst thing that's going to happen is somebody says no. I've always asked for a pay rise. I've always asked for a promotion. I've always asked for the seat at the table. And you'll be surprised how often you're going to hear the word yes.
Exactly. Put your hand up, ask. You never know what will come your way.
But come prepared. Provide value up front and definitely, try and show your worth.
What does the next 5 years look like for you as an individual and also for the business Release Me?
Yeah, we're really excited about what we have coming to market at Release Me. So like I said, our product development pipeline, we've got some exciting things coming for our existing clients, but we're also looking at new verticals in the property space as well as market expansion to overseas stakeholders as well. So that's really exciting for Release Me. Of course, like everyone in the property development landscape, we're looking forward to the market cycle swinging back up, and looking forward to what our clients are bringing to market as well, because our clients have got some fantastic projects ready to launch next year. For myself, personally, one thing that I'm really excited about, and I think I've touched on here before, is the convergence of industry, PropTech, government, and our industry bodies as well. And I think it's absolutely fundamental to solving the challenges that we're seeing in the housing crises today, as well as creating futures that we really want for housing and master plan communities. So what I'm excited about is working with these stakeholders, driving partnerships, think tanks, and discussion forward, how we can better work together and harness the data that we have, harness the analytics and the insights that we have, and help bring product to market that people want.
Good on you.
Excellent.
Well, that's probably a good place to leave it, Amber. So thank you so much for your time with us. Nikita and I have loved having the chat with you, and good luck with everything.
Thanks so much, Amber. I'm not a tech entrepreneur, but I feel like I understand this tech a little bit better, and I think that's probably all we can ask for is better understanding.
And if anyone wants to talk about tech generally, definitely reach out. It's been so lovely being here and talking with you girls, and I can't wait to listen to this episode, but every other episode that you bring out, because I will say in the property industry, this is a fantastic podcast I've come across.
Oh, thanks.
The diversity of thoughts.
We really have no idea what we're doing.
Is wonderful.
We're just playing. We're just having a go.
Just having fun.
Yeah.
Just having fun.
Thank
We'll
you.
keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you also to our sponsors, Polka Dot Property, a small but mighty marketing consultancy connecting people to place.
And Scouted, your go-to for property and construction recruitment. To scout is to seek, to be scouted is to be found.
If you'd like to get involved, you can reach out to Nikita and I at themasterplanpodcast@gmail.com.
Make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
See you next time.
Bye.